All right. Hello, everyone. Can you hear me now? If you can hear me, just let me know in the chat box. I can see a number of you are live already. Welcome to tonight's session of the Growth Accelerator session. Tonight, we'll be looking at the paradox of effort, how to direct your energy for superior results. If you're ready for this, if you're ready to learn how to make sure that your energy is directed for superior results, go ahead and let me know that you're ready in the chat box. If you're watching the replay, you're welcome to this session. One of the things this session will help you do is to help you understand why it seems as though that some people may be doing so much, but then getting so little as results, and what you can do about it. Are you ready to see my face? Can I come up on video right now? Is everybody ready for that? Okay, let's get right into it. We just have about 45 minutes thereabouts, and say to 45 minutes, and we should be out of here. So I can see a number of you are live already. If you stay till the end, I'll be able to greet you. So yeah, stay to the end, and I'll say hi to a number of you. But this night is going to be a very amazing session. And the reason why is because you will get to understand a number of things, right? That prior to this time may not have been so clear for you. Have you ever wondered? Have you ever asked yourself questions about how much hard work really pays? Does hard work really pay that much? Because if you look at it right, and if we're being sincere, you will know that there are people that work far harder than you that are earning far less than you. True of us. Do you know that there are people that are working far harder than you when it comes to especially physical labor, but yet they are earning far less than you? Have you ever seen that type of situation before? Most of you see it literally every day. So what is the correlation there? People will literally wake up very, very early. Okay, they would, enter. They will enter the road. Those that hawk, those that have to, carry water, carry drinks along the road just to make a living. These are people that are trying to be as honest as possible to make money in a means that is not dubious. Most of these people have families to feed. You will even see some of them back their children. You see some of them, going around knowing that without this work, without what they are doing, they are not even sure of their next meal. They're not sure of exactly what next to eat if they are not able to make the sales they should make for that day. So they go to the markets, they go to, bus stops, they go to anywhere at all that they can get some sort of results, and they put their all to this. Why? So that they can get results. Do you think that these people intentionally are choosing to earn the amounts that they're earning? Do you think that they intentionally want to labor that much for that little? Do you really think that? Do you think that it's possible that they set out and said, in my life, this is what I want to do. This is exactly what I want. Do you think that's what happens? Now, the same way that most times you look at these people, right? The truth is it's a leveled kind of thing. It's a strata. So the way you would say, why is it that these people would struggle this much? And some of you here, you may even have been in that position before. You may have had to do some of these things before. Some of you may even be doing it right now. And that is not an issue. In fact, doing it is not an issue. Being at that level is not an issue. The issue is how long you will be there. And that's why this session is. This session, the paradox of effort, is to help you understand how you can either direct or redirect your efforts in a way that it gives you some sort of confidence that after a period of time, you can never, ever be at this level again. It doesn't happen by mistake. So let me explain what I was talking about. So the same way you look at these people and you can literally feel some sort of pity, some sort of compassion for them. The same way that you would literally say, these people are going through a lot. How come they are doing this much and they are getting this little? The same way you're saying that, do you know that there are some other people that are above you that are looking at you that way? Have you ever thought about it? That there are people that are like, how come you have to do this much to get this little? Because your current earnings, your current results, not just financially now, I'm talking in terms of a number of things. Financial is one of it, but in terms of a number of things, your current results is something that it's at a very low level to someone else. True of us. So the same way that you are literally feeling compassion for these people, that is the same way someone else is feeling compassion for you. That same person is wishing and hoping that, how I wish this person can just know exactly how to go about this in a better way. Oh, you've been struggling with this, your skill. You've been struggling with making money in this way. How I wish the person knows that this is what to do. So the way you're looking at them, that's the exact way someone else is looking at you. These are people that have been able to understand the paradox of effort. I made a post on Facebook about the person that first developed what is called today the 80-20 rule. The 80-20 rule is almost unfair, but it is true. The fact that 80% of results, most of the times, come from 20% of actions. 80% of results. And how that Italian philosopher, how he came up with that principle was that he found out that in Italy, where he was, right, 80% of the entire landmass of buildings or of developed areas were owned by just 20% of the population. So the larger amount of ownership was done by the smaller amount of the population. And then that has translated to several other things in several niches. So a big part of the result is coming from a little part of the effort. And if you don't know how to direct your effort, what happens is that you will be doing a lot of things. You'll be doing several things that seem important to you. But if you're not doing the right things, if you're not doing the essential things, if you're not doing the critical things, what happens is that those efforts that you're putting out there cannot get you the results you want. One of the major issues we have is that people are putting in an effort, a kind of effort, and expecting a different kinds of results. You're putting in a kind of effort that should bring a particular result, and then you're expecting an entirely different kind of result. And this session will just help you to realign that, to help you know exactly where it is you're missing it and what exactly you need to do. Now, there's a part of Proverbs, and I'll be doing lots of references in this session. This is a personal development session. This is not digital skill related, so it will be very, very in depth, and I'm doing lots of references. There's a part of Proverbs that says that there is profits in every labor. And someone can look for this verse for me. There is profits in every labor, but mere talk leads to poverty. You can look for that for me and then put it in chat box. It says that there's profits in every labor, but mere talk leads to poverty. That means on the surface value of everything, there's supposed to be some sort of profits in every labor. This means that if you are not to an extent relatively clear about the possible profit you're getting from something, that labor you are having, that work you're doing at this time is literally profitless. A lot of people are doing without even knowing what they're expecting from what they're doing. At least those people that go out there in the morning to try to work, they know that, oh, if they sell a bottle of water at 150 naira, they will make, let's say, 30 naira or 50 naira in return as a profit, right? They have an idea of the profit that is coming from their labor. A lot of people, right, do not even know what they are supposed to expect from their labor. So you just go out there and start working. You just go out there and start doing something. Why are you doing what you're doing? What profit are you expecting from this labor? There is profit in every labor, but mere talk leads to, okay, I can see some of you have brought it up for me. I can see Ugo. So this is the easy to read version. It says, if you work hard, you will have plenty. But if you do nothing but talk, you will not have enough. I like this translation. That means working hard is supposed to create a result called plenty. And then if you just sit down and talk about how much you will do or the number of things that you're going to do, the things that you want to do, you can never ever have enough. And this is the first place. This is the first place to start from. I'm just laying the foundation for this. And we're taking this step by step, right? This is the first place to start from if you want to get to that place where your efforts are producing results. Follow me step by step. Now, we're going to start by looking at some reasons why much effort can produce less results. That's the first thing I'll talk about. So if you're writing, if you're not writing, you can get something to write on. So some reasons why less effort can produce, much effort can produce less results. Some reasons. The first reason, the very first reason why you can be putting in so much effort and getting very little results in return, the first reason is the reason of ignorance. You can write that down. Ignorance. Now, when people hear the word ignorance, there's this withdrawal. You automatically raise a defense block. If someone says, oh, you're ignorant at something, there's already an internal defense that automatically goes up and says, no, that's not possible. You can't call me ignorant. Impossible. But ignorance is simply not knowing something. You do not know something. You lack knowledge in a particular area. A lot of people are having less results from much effort because they don't know. This is the first reason. If you find out that there's a part of your life where you're getting less results, just listen to me, right? And accept this. Let this sink inside. Don't reject it. Don't reject it. See, there's this part of the Bible, I think James 1:5, someone can confirm that for me. It says that if any one of you lacks wisdom, let him ask. And God that gives liberally will give it to the person. When people read that part of scriptures, the first thing they see is let him ask. But that's not the first part. Someone can put that verse for me in the chat box, right? That's not the first part. The first part is if any one of you lacks wisdom. That's the first part. Because there are many people that lack wisdom, but the only reason they've not asked is because they have not accepted that there is something that they lack. If they say you don't have knowledge in something, you automatically reject it. And because of that, you have never, ever, ever asked. You've never, ever looked for what you need. Thank you, Ugo. So this is it. Is there any one of you that needs wisdom? Let him ask. So that first part of this verse really qualifies the people that will ask, the people that will seek. There has to be that acceptance that this part of my life that things are not really working out in, there is a knowledge that I lack, and that's ignorance. Ignorance is simply lacking knowledge. If you lack knowledge in something, you are ignorant in that part. So there's a part of everything that we are all ignorant in. There are some things I'm trying to feel myself. There are parts of knowledge, there are still bodies of knowledge that I need to feel. So ignorance is the first reason why someone, all right, can be putting in much effort but getting less results. It's just like you're new to a city. I came into Lagos sometime late last year, and let's assume that I want to go from the island where I stay down to the mainland, right? Let's say I want to go to the airport, for example. There are different routes. There are different ways to get to the airport. True of us. There are different ways to get to the airport. In fact, there are different ways to do literally anything. But there can be a way that is faster, far faster than other ways. And I have no idea about that way. So there's a way that I always know that, oh, you take through this road, and that's the only thing that I know. Because of that, I know something. Do you know that in that case, I may say I'm not ignorant. So I know something, but what I know is not the fastest way to get me to my result. Some of you is not total ignorance per se. There are some people that have either false wisdom or partial wisdom. Do you know what I said? There are some levels of ignorance that manifest itself as either false wisdom. False wisdom is there's something you know, but what you know is not true. That's false wisdom. So you know something, but what you know is not. And that's what was warned against. He said, be careful so that your light is not darkness. Be careful that your light is not darkness. So there's false wisdom in the sense that you know something, but what you know is not true. Then there's partial wisdom in the sense that you know a part of what it takes. Both false wisdom and partial wisdom are expressions of ignorance. There's still something you don't know. If you will get, there's some people that they're still struggling with this statement right now. If they say, oh, you're ignorant at something, you'll be like, no way, I've looked for knowledge, I've done this, I've done that. There is still something that is lacking. Thou lackest one thing. You have to accept it. It's when you know. Do you know you need? Is there any one of you that needs wisdom? As the verse that Ugochukwu shared earlier is there anyone that lacks wisdom? Is when you accept that you lack wisdom, that is when you can ask. So ignorance is one of the first reasons why people can put in so much effort and get very little result. They don't know. That's why you hear statements like, show me the way, teach me how to do this, because they do not know. And as I'm saying they, part of that day is us. Even as I'm trying to talk about this, there are still some things I'm trying to figure out. There are things I'm trying to learn. In fact, any day that someone completely stops learning, there is a big issue there. I cannot learn until I am able to know that there's something I lack. That's why I personally say that the first requirement for learning is humility, not data subscription. There has to be some sort of humility for you to learn. So ignorance, what do you lack? Now, the second reason, let me just move ahead. I can see that our time is running fast. The second reason why much effort can produce less results is inaction. You can write that down. Number 2, inaction. The reasons why much effort can produce less results. So you can be doing so much and you're getting less results. That's inaction. Now, inaction is a word that sometimes people fight with. Why? Because you think that you're doing, but what you're doing is not what you should be doing. There is what you're doing and there's what it takes. If what you're doing is not what it takes, is as good as inaction. And this is the painful part. It is very, very painful. Do you know how terrible it is for you to know that water only boils from 100 degrees Celsius at normal temperature and pressure? Do you know what it takes to know that there's a result that you want, but it takes a minimum level? How many of you have watched a football match where one particular team is doing all the dribbling, all the gymnastics on the field? They have the highest possession, 70-30. I've forgotten a lot about football matches, right? So they have the highest possessions. They have like a number of things that are going for them. But then the other team just scores one goal. Mistakenly. In fact, it was even an own goal. It was just a blatant mistake from the defender. What do you think happens? Who will win the match? If Chelsea and which club? Man U, for example, is playing, and Man U is having the biggest possession, the biggest everything. They are dribbling from one side of the pitch to the other. And while they were dribbling, there was just one small mistake that a defender made, and a Chelsea person just shot, and it's touched the defender and deflected into the net. Who do you think will win that match? Is it the person that was doing the dribbling up and down, or the person that scored? You can answer in the chat box. This is what is happening to so many people. You are doing so many things, but you're not doing the thing that really matters. You're not really doing what it takes. And as much as that can be called action in a sense, it is still classified under inaction. In fact, just to define it very well, Inaction can be defined as an action without knowledge. If you are doing a lot of things, but they are not directed by some sort of knowledge, it is relatively inaction. Inaction is this. I have a book. Let me see. Do I have a paper? Let me see. Sometimes I use examples like this. So I have a plain paper here and I have a pen. I have a plain paper and I have a pen. The only issue is my pen is covered. Do I know that a pen can write? This pen can be used to write on a paper, true or false? I carry this pen covered as it is and try to write my ATM pin for you guys. So I try to write my ATM pin and I am surprised that it's not writing. I'm like, I'm holding a pen. I'm holding a paper. It is not writing. Am I doing something? Am I doing something? I am, right? But an action that is done without the knowledge that I'm supposed to open this pen is what? Can you see how clean this thing is? It's as if you didn't do anything. So you can be like this, you can be struggling, you can be scribbling, you're trying to write the ATM pin, you're trying to write this, write that. You can be doing all sorts of things here. But because of your lack of knowledge, your action can be classified as inaction. This is very painful. This can cause so much frustration because it's not like you're not doing anything. It's not like you're not doing anything, but you are doing it from a place that has less amount of knowledge. Now, the day that you meet someone and the person tells you that you're supposed to open your pen and then you're supposed to write, and then you start writing. Let's say this is the first number of the pin, for example. You're not surprised, like, oh, it's beginning to write now. The same thing you were doing, but because you did not know that there is something else you should do, it is inaction. So there is inaction in the sense of not doing anything. There are two kinds of inaction, can be in two forms. The first one is not doing anything at all. That one is a manifestation of laziness, right? It's a manifestation of laziness, and there's a part of the Bible. Someone can check that for me. That says that if you fold your hands and sleep, right, poverty will come upon you like an armed robber. That's one of the translations, right? Poverty will come and make its home with you. Someone could just check that for me and put it in chat box. So if you decide to fold your hands and sleep, a little slumber, and poverty will come and make his bed with you, and hold you like an armed robber. That's laziness. That's inaction from laziness. But there's an inaction that comes from not knowing what to do. So you're doing, but you don't know what you're supposed to be doing. So all the things you're doing is equal to zero. Everything you're doing is equal to zero. Painful, but true. The third reason why much effort can produce less results. The third reason why much effort can produce less results is time. I can see some of your comments. Yeah. Adefa Emmanuel says the club that scored. Yeah, for that my example. Yes, that's true. The club that scored. Ersusa is talking about the ATM pin. Ugo Chuku. Yeah, Joseph is saying inaction can be defined as an action without knowledge. Great. Now, the third reason why much effort can produce less result is time. You can write that down, time. So it is possible that the process of time is still on. In this case, you have to be sure that it's time. See, one of the most challenging statements you can make is the statement, give me time. Or it's just a matter of time. If you want to make that statement, make sure that it is truly just a matter of time. If not, you put yourself in trouble. There's a time when the story of Daniel, when the king had a dream, and it was like all the wise men in the city, they should come and tell him both his dream and the interpretation. Look at that sort of king. you're on your own, you slept on your royal bed and you dreamt a dream. But then people should come and tell you both the dream and the interpretation. And then these wise men, they tried and tried and tried, and they could not know it. And the king was angry, angry that someone did not tell him his dream. And what did he do? He said that all these wise men should be put to death. All of them. And Daniel was not there. Daniel heard about it and was like, why is the king so angry? And then he asked the chief of staff in court, right, that he wants to go and see the king. And he was giving audience. And he told the king a statement that many of you are telling people directly or indirectly. And he said, give me time. Give me time. That is the statement. But then when he said, give me time, he did not say, give me time and, go back to go and sleep or something. No. If you read that story, right, he said, give me time. And then he called his friends. And he asked all of them to come together and do what they know how to do best, which is to pray. And it is recorded that dream and the interpretation was revealed to him in a night vision. Why? Because after he asked for time, he asked for time to do a specific set of action. Time does not change anything. It reveals what you've been doing in time. Time does not change anything. Time reveals what you have been doing in time. So it is what you've done within that time that allows you to get a certain result. In this case, Daniel's result was he had the dream and he had the interpretation because he did something in time. So people are putting in much effort and getting less results because of time in two ways. First, it could be that the time is not yet done, right? Because there is always the gathering of water before rain falls. So it's possible that you're still in that period of gathering. You're still in that period of gathering. It's possible. It's also possible that you are just waiting for time without doing anything, and that is dangerous. So these are three major reasons why people are doing so much and getting less results. A lot of people don't know. If they know better, they will do better. But now that you're in this session, how can you direct your energy? And we're getting to the real part now. How can you direct your energy for superior results? How can you direct your energy for? So if you're writing, you can go ahead and write how to direct your energy for superior results. How to direct your energy for superior results. Now, the first thing you need to do, if you know that you want to get results that are superior, these are things that a very large number of people don't even care about. But you know about it because you're in this session. How can you direct your energy for superior results? The first thing you need to do, number one, is to seek knowledge. That's the first thing. All right? The first thing is to seek knowledge. There is always something that you don't know. If you know everything, you would have gotten where you needed to be. The first thing is to seek knowledge. And I'll tell you the type of knowledge to seek. This is very intentional. Seeking knowledge is not something that is too broad. No, listen, I'll break it down for you. You need to seek knowledge if you want to get superior results. So many people are perishing because of lack of knowledge. So many people are at a static point. They are doing the same thing over and over again because they don't know. Now, what knowledge do you need to seek? All right. Under seeking knowledge, the first kind of knowledge you need to seek is the knowledge of who you are. It will surprise you to know that this is almost the most important for a lot of people. There are even some of you that are watching live right now that you think you know, but you don't. It's called false wisdom. The knowledge of who you are. Do you know what happens sometimes? People project some sort of independence on you. They make you feel as if, my thoughts are mine. Nobody can control me. I am who I think I am and things like, and all the things you're thinking are things that have already been projected on you by society. From the day you were born up till now, a lot of things have been told to you, the school you attended, the environment you grew up in, the books you read, the movies you watched. So many things have been projected on you. And while they are projecting those things on you, they are making you think that you are the one that developed them yourself. So you are in light, but your light is darkness. You don't know who you are. You think you do, but you don't. A lot of people lack the knowledge of who they are. In fact, there are many people that the day you know who you are, you will begin to behave, act, you begin to express yourself in a particular kind of way. What's the difference between someone that is, what's the difference between, for example, a president and you, for example? If a president does not know who he is, do you know that the president will literally be acting like you? There's this part of scriptures, someone can look for that for me, that says that princes, right, are walking barefooted while servants are riding on horsebacks. That's what's happening to a lot of people. You are a prince, but because you don't know that you're a prince, you are walking barefooted on the ground. Knowledge is the first thing. And the first kind of knowledge you need is knowledge of who you are. If you know who you are, there are some things I'll tell you to do that will be easier for you to do. If I tell you to cut down on some certain things, if I tell you to discipline yourself in some certain ways, it's easier for you to do it. Why? Because you know who you are. There's this particular book of Proverbs that a particular king, King Lemuel, his mother was advising him. And he said something. She said that it is not for kings to drink strong drink. It is not for kings to drink strong wine because it affects their judgments. That statement is not for everybody. If you are not a king, it is not for you. It is not for kings to drink strong wine because it affects their judgment. That was King Lemuel. Someone can check that for me. It's not for kings to drink strong wine because it affects their judgment. A king's mother was advising who? Advising a king. So some instructions are not for the public. Some instructions are for you because you have known who you are. So the day that you say, I am a king, then that instruction applies to you. Until that moment, before that moment, whatever you do doesn't matter. Whatever you do doesn't matter until that moment when you recognize that I am a king. Knowing who you are will direct the rest of everything you do. And this knowing who you are is progressive. There are several ways to go about that. I would personally say that you should have a personal relationship with your creator, with God, right? That's because he created you. He knows the best for you. But it's really progressive. So you know who you are. This part is really important. When you know who you are, there are some things you can't do. When you know who you are, there are levels of discipline you can subject yourself to. When you know who you are, there are ways you talk. There are platforms you can stand on. When you know who you are, there are things that are easier for you to do. So much is difficult for you because you have not yet gotten to that point where you know who you are. See, have you heard of the story of the prodigal son? Right. A son, there are two sons in the house of a very rich man, and the younger son came and told the father, I want you to divide the estate, the resources of this house. I want you to divide and give me my portion, give me my share of the goods, or give me my share of the things that are in this house, just like a will, the way that people ask for a will. And then he took his share. The properties were divided between the younger son and the elder son. And the younger son took his share and went to a far country. He traveled abroad, right? What Nigerians will refer to as Japa, right? So he got his passport and he traveled abroad. And he went ahead and used those resources, the money, the gold, the everything. He used it on what was referred to as a frivolous living. He used it to do all sorts of things, all sorts of things, all sorts of things. And he wasted that money and became poor again. And as soon as he became poor, this is what happens a lot. Very terrible stuff. But when he now became broke, that was the time that famine now came. Very terrible. The time he became broke, became poor, that was when famine came. That was when hardship came. So sometimes there is a cushion that your personal success can give you. But then when you don't have some sort of personal cushion, and then there is an environmental harshness again, it is very terrible. So famine came. So there was famine in the land, and it was so bad that he was looking for a way to even eat from the feed of pigs, but nobody could give him the feed that was what was used to feed pigs. But then something happened at that point, at that very low point. It was written, it was recorded that he came to himself. He came to himself. There's that particular verse that says he came to himself, and he thought to himself, and he said that even his father's servants have plenty to eat. This is someone that was the son of a very wealthy man, the son of a king. But because he went ahead and used his resources, his share of resources, very frivolously, he had become very poor, and he was in a land of famine. And what happened? He couldn't get enough to eat, and it was so bad that he couldn't even get something to eat from the feed of pigs. But then, at that low point, he came to himself, and he said that even my father's servants, someone should look for that for me. Even my father's servants has so much to eat. So much to eat. But yet I am here and I am starving. The going back to his father's house was not just a decision. It was a decision that was made after he came to a realization of himself. He came to himself. And this is something that a lot of you may need to do after this session. Try and sit down with yourself. What exactly are you doing right now with your life? What exactly are you, like, who really are you? Whose son are you? It's something that Saul asked about David. He said, whose son is this youth? Because there's something that identity is supposed to do for you. And identity is supposed to give you some sort of recognition of the traits you carry. Knowing your identity is supposed to give you some sort of recognition of the traits that you carry. Why? Because living things are supposed to recreate or to reproduce after their kind. That is a law. Every living thing reproduces after its kind. That's why someone that is the son of a king is automatically a prince to a large extent. All right. Yeah, thank you, Emmanuel Daniel. Can you see this? Emmanuel has put it out for us. And when he came to himself, he said, how many hired servants of my father's have bread enough and to spare? That means they are not even only eating enough, they even have sufficient to give out. And yet I perish with hunger. This is the issue with a lot of us. Because we don't know who we are. There's a suffering that comes from ignorance. I'm being sincere. We're talking about knowledge right now. There's a suffering. There's a suffering that the only reason you're suffering is because you don't know. And you don't know who you are. So until you come to yourself, until you're able to ask yourself this question, if they ask you who you are apart from your name, because you're not really your name, who are you? And one way to know who you are, kind of, to an extent, is to know who your father is. And trust me, I'm not talking about earthly father now. That will give you some sort of recognition of exactly how you should behave on the earth. Because you know where you're coming from. You know that you're a king and you're a priest. Know that you're a royal priesthood. You're someone that has been set aside to fulfill a certain kind of work on the earth. So who are you? There's a suffering that comes from ignorance. He said he perished with hunger. There's a suffering that comes from ignorance. You don't know. There are scriptures that says that that people, a fool wearieth himself at the gates because he doesn't know the way to the city. So you stress yourself, you frustrate yourself at the gates because you don't know the way to the city. Let's take a step further. We're making progress. So that's the first knowledge. The second knowledge you need, I had to spend some time there because knowing who you are would really help with the other things. The second knowledge you need is the knowledge of what you want. What you want, for some of you, you are not crystal clear. You're not crystal clear. Do you want to do live videos? If yes, why do you want to do it? What is the end result? The second knowledge you need is the knowledge of what you want. What exactly do you want? That lack of clarity, you know, El Nightingale in one of his most popular pieces called The Strangest Secret, he mentioned about the fact that one of the major reasons why people will never achieve anything significant, one of the major reasons why they will never ever achieve anything significant is because they do not have a clear sense of purpose. They don't have a clear direction of what they want. A goal. It's called a goal. What exactly do you want? People don't know this. You don't know what you want. You think you know, but ask yourself. In fact, if you can sit down later and write it down, what do you want? You can send it to me as an email. My email is hi@feasteven.com. What do you want? What exactly do you want? You're doing a lot of things and hoping something works. Is there something that you want? Is there a goal you're working towards? Because you can have so much activity, but if it's not directed towards something, you'll be getting results that are haphazard. So different kinds of results at different points in time. No direction. Very terrible. What do you want? That's the second knowledge. The third knowledge you need is the knowledge of what you have. Under what you want, right? I think I should just mention this, right? Having a clear sense of purpose to an extent draws help from around you. There's a recorded story in scripture, a recorded happening in scripture that talked about a particular woman that had what was called the issue of blood. And she said that if she can just touch the garment of Jesus, she will be healed. She was clear about what she wanted. And she went ahead and she did that and she was healed. Sometimes one of the reasons why you're not getting results, and this is painful, is because you don't even know what you want. So it's difficult for you to get the results without knowing what you want. All right. So I just want to add that there. So you know that these are laws. These are not just things I'm putting out there. I'm being very calm and gentle this night because these things I'm putting out there, you can take them as simple as they look and sit down with yourself and ask yourself these questions. And you will see how far your life will go in the next 3 to 6 months. What do you want? What do you want? All right. The third knowledge you need is the knowledge of what you have. The third knowledge you need is the knowledge of what you have. What do you have? Some of you have not been able to figure out the strengths that you have. Some of you have relationships going for you. Some of you have your voice, your eloquence. Some of you have a great smartphone. You have a laptop. You have information on YouTube, for example, things like this. What do you have? What do you have in your hand? There's this ending part of the story of the talents. I've talked about that story so many times. It's one of my favorite stories in scriptures, right? And the ending part of the story is a principle that was outlined. It says that to him that has, more will be given, and he will have abundance. But to him that has not, even what he has will be taken away. To him that has, more will be given, and he will have abundance. But to him that has not, even what he has, how can you, the question is, how can you have not, in quotes, and then what you have? Someone should look for that verse for me. Let me put it up here. To him that has, I know there are different renditions in different gospels, right? To him that has, more will be given, and he will have abundance. But to him that has not, I thought he does not have. It's just like saying, I don't have a pen. How would you say that what I have will be taken from me when I don't have anything? Is that supposed to be possible? That means that it is not true that the person does not have. The truth is that the person has, but the person just does not recognize what he or she has. That's the only way that what you have can be taken from you. Some of you have access to the internet. Some of you have friends that are forward thinking. Some of you have access to books, access to a lot of things. Okay, thank you, Emmanuel Daniel. So this is it. For unto everyone that hath shall be given, and he shall have abundance. But from him that hath not, someone that does not have, you can use NKJV, Emmanuel Daniel, so it's easier. To him that hath, from him that hath not, that means the person that does not have, even what he has shall be taken away. So you're thinking you don't have, but there is something you have. There is always something you have. And without knowing what you have, what happens is you can't maximize what you don't know. Just like you have a feature on your phone and you don't know that it's there, you can't maximize it. So you have to ask yourself, what are the things that I have? In terms of personal strengths, is it your voice? Is it the way you look? Is it your ability to make friends? Your ability to connect with power centers? Do you have relationships that you can leverage on? Do you have access to the internet? Do you have access to videos? Do you have access to resources? What do you have? I can see some more translations. I can see this is Joseph. Joseph, this is a TPT. It says, for the one who has will be given more until he overflows with abundance. This part is also another issue of concern. Like, why will you give? He already has, so why are you giving him more? But I'm not talking about that today. I'll talk about that in another series. My concern for today is the one with hardly anything, the one that does not have anything. Even what he has, even the little that he has will be taken from him. That means when you say you don't have anything, the little you have, this is another translation, I think. Let me just read the second part. But people who do not use what they have, I like this translation. This is another translation. It says, people who do not use what they have will have everything taken away from them. Are you seeing this? Are you seeing why people are putting in so much effort and getting very tiny results? It's possible that there is something that they have that they're not using. And it takes just one person, either for them to come to the recognition of what they have, or for someone else to come to that recognition for them. How many of you remember the story of the bread seller that became a model? What was her name again? Does anybody remember? Just tell me in the chat box. Someone that I think was selling bread, and then she got photographed and then became a model. I think she trended for some time. Is it that she did not have that ability ever since? If you remember the name or the story I'm talking about, you can let me know in chat box. I know it trended for some time in Nigeria. She had that ability. But sometimes it takes either your own recognition, for example, in the case of the prodigal son, to come to yourself, or it takes someone else to bring it to your knowledge that you have this thing. It is the day that you find out or you recognize that you have this, that you can start using it. Does anybody know the name of that model? I think was it Olajumoke or something? I'm not sure. Yes, thank you, Joseph. Olajumoke, this is the name. This is the name. Thank you so much. So this was the person. Is it that she did not have that ability since? She did. If you are lucky in life, you would have one person that is able to see something in you that you're not yet seeing and able to nurture it. I had that for myself. I had my mentor, Elisha Marman. My mentor was able to nurture a part of me that I did not even know exists. If you're lucky, you're able to find someone that does that. Sometimes there are people that come to the knowledge themselves. Don't wait for someone. Someone can be sent to you, but don't wait. Sit down and ask yourself, what do I have? Then the last knowledge you need, right? We're still on that seeking knowledge. The last knowledge you need is the knowledge of what you need. This is the part that is sometimes the most difficult. What do you need? For everything you want, for every result, remember, you need to know the knowledge of what you want. If you know the knowledge of what you want, it's easier for you to know what you need. For every result you seek, right, there must be something you need. What you need can be people, it can be resources, it can be, money, energy, time. There's always something you need. The knowledge of what you need. So ask yourself, for this company I want to build, for this business I'm trying to start up, what do I need? For this result I want to be one of the best digital marketers in Nigeria. What do I need? There are still some things I need even till today. I talk about this a lot. There are some certifications that are in my wish list. I have certifications in my wish list that are as high as 3.2 million naira. I have certifications that are far higher than that. And I know why. There are reasons why I'm talking about these things. There are some things that are on my wish list that if I want to execute will cost nothing less than 12 million naira. There's some things that will cost far higher than that. Thousands and thousands of dollars. But then I know that I need these things. For some of them, I need them because of the relationships I'll form. You don't just go to Harvard like that. There has to be money. So there are relationships that I will form. These are things I need, and I know what I need. It is easier to know what you need so that you can look for a way to get them. This is where the gaps come in. For some of you, you need knowledge. You actually need knowledge. You need knowledge. And you may need knowledge in some specific areas. I call these gaps. I call it identifying your gaps. Some of you may need the skill of copywriting. Some of you need the skill of video editing. Some of you need the skill of... Some of you don't even need some of these skills. Some of you, what you need is discipline. You need to get a book, No Excuses by Brian Tracy. Or you need to go on YouTube and watch a video and learn how to discipline yourself. You have the skill. You can run ads. You can make videos. You can do... It's just that you start today, you do 2 things tomorrow, the next week you're gone. You're out of the radar. Some of you need to learn discipline. Some of you, what you need to learn is some sort of consistency. And I'll talk about consistency soon. Some of you, what you need to learn is how to connect with power centers. You already have the skills. When we talk of knowledge, when we talk of learning, sometimes you focus on your skills too much. So if you need to learn how to build a business, because you're skillful, but you don't have a business. You know how to design websites, but you don't have a website design business. You know how to run ads, but you don't have an advertising business. You need to learn how to build a business. What does it take? Your knowledge gap may not be in your skill. It may be in something else you're ignoring. And the best way to know your gaps is to know what is limiting you. Some of you, you don't even need to learn a skill. You need to learn how to manage finances. The reason why you're where you are is because every money that comes to your hand, you just, play the song that you cannot kill yourself, or any small money any small change that comes to your hand now, enjoyment, and then you're dancing and you're, spending your future, eating your seed, eating your fruits, eating your bread, eating everything. And then after 2 months, you are back to that place where you started from. You need to learn financial management. Shoulder my yoke and learn of me. There's a rest that comes from learning. Who can put out that verse for me? Jesus was speaking, He was saying that if you learn of me, you will find rest for your souls. You will find rest for your souls. There's a rest that comes from learning. And when you learn from someone that is complete, you must get rest roundabout. So there are different things you need to learn. It's a number of things. A number of things, not just one thing. I keep saying this, there's no one thing that can make you great. There is no one thing that can make you great. You have to learn a number of things. They come together to get you to that point of greatness. That is under what you need, right? That's under what you need. We're making progress. I'll try to round up as fast as possible, but that's under seeking knowledge. So I've talked about seeking knowledge. Now, the next thing you need to do, now that you've gotten knowledge, and while you're in the process of getting knowledge, the next thing you need, the second point, is take action based on what you know. Take action based on what you know. This means that do not wait to get all the knowledge in the world. It will never happen. Do not wait to get all the knowledge in the world. It will never happen. Take action based on what you know. That's the second point. I'm trying to check my time. Take action based on what you know. That's the second point. And when I talk about action, I've talked about this before. Action is a combination of a number of things. The first component of action is what is called intensity. And I'm talking about knowledge-based action now. Your action right now is not just you doing something. Your action right now is you now know that for you to write, you need to do what? You need to first remove the cover of the pen. And then you can now start doing what? Start writing. You now know that. So any action you're taking now produces results. So we are trying to check if I've written the full pin. No, I've not. So any action you produce now, or you do now, it produces results. Why? You're taking action from a point of knowledge. You're not more just doing anything. Yes, Ugo Chuka has helped me with this particular verse that I was quoting. It said, "Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and lowly in heart, and you will find rest for your souls." So there's a type of rest that comes if you can learn. A type of rest comes when you can learn, when you can calm yourself down and learn. Thank you, Ugo, for that. That up for me. Now, under action, there are two things. The first thing that is important under action, this action is based on what you know. The first thing that is important is called intensity. Some of you will never, ever break through because you are taking things too easy. It's not fair, but it is just how it works. How many of you you've entered a flight before? You've flown. I remember the first time I entered a flight. That's a very funny story. I remember how I was struggling. My mentor paid for that flight for me, right? My mentor, his name is Mr. Elisha Maman. And he paid for it, and that was my first time. He was sitting by my side. We're coming back from Port Harcourt. We're returning to Kaduna. My first ever flight. I've forgotten the airline. I think we're landing in Abuja first. So we're doing Port Harcourt to Abuja. So I think it was Dana, if I'm not mistaken. And I was struggling to put my seatbelt. So I was used to the car seat belts, very simple to do and stuff like that. But then I was now in my first ever flight, and I was, as per thought leader, I was trying to, put on my seatbelt, and my mentor saw me struggling, and he had to check and help my life so that I won't go and disgrace everybody in that plane. But yeah, we were finally able to figure that out. But what I want to talk about that flight is this. If you are in a flight, what happens is at the beginning, when the aircraft is taxiing out of the place where it was parked, right? So it starts moving very slowly. Do you notice that? It moves very slowly. It starts taxiing. Where is it going towards? It's going towards the runway. So it moves slowly. It just moves like a normal car. In fact, truth be told, there are some cars that will move faster than the aircraft at that very first stage. Some cars can move far faster than the aircraft. Very fast. Some cars can overtake the aircraft and be going, but the aircraft doesn't need to worry. It knows where it's going to. So the pilot taxis the aircraft towards the runway. And what happens when it gets to the runway? It positions itself for takeoff, and then you start hearing some announcements inside of the aircraft if you're in the flight, and you hear things like, the cabin crew should position themselves for takeoff. Everybody should double check that their seat belts are properly fastened, their mobiles are turned off. Some of you, the reason why you're not even taking off is because your mobile is always turned off. There are so many things that you need to do offline before you come online. So please, if you need to turn off your mobile for some time, do it. This may be an instruction to someone. You know yourself. You've been using your phone too much. So they'll tell us to put off our mobile phones, put off a couple of things, get ready for takeoff. And then we'll get ready. And what happens is that same aircraft that was just taxiing out slowly, that a Toyota Corolla will just speed by and say, what is this big thing doing, moving this slow on the runway? A Corolla will just pass it and go. Then it starts what is called a particular kind of motion that is almost unprecedented. What happens? It starts moving with some certain accelerated kind of speed. And from the very first time I entered the flight, and even till recently, when I was coming back from Ghana, for some reason I like counting the seconds. I don't know why. I like counting how many seconds it takes from when it starts accelerating to when it's in the air. And it has never been more than 40 seconds. Never. The worst it has been was around 30 something seconds. It has never been more than 40 seconds. That means not even up to a minute. So once it starts accelerating at that very high rate, in less than 40 seconds, it has elevated from the ground. And that car that overtook it since, that car will still be going, and the airplane will get to Abuja, and that car is still trying to pass through Lagos traffic. Why? Because of that intensity. If that aircraft is on that runway, it has the potential, it has everything. It has the potential, it has a great pilot, it has a clear runway, but it's just moving slowly on the runway. What happens? What happens is that because of that slow motion, it can never ever take off. For some of you, the reason why you haven't taken off till now is because you're taking things too easy. Trust me, you are. You're taking things too easy. That's why you have not taken off till now. So you're posting once a week. You say that when you were doing your knowledge, remember I said seeking for knowledge. When you were seeking for knowledge, what you need, number one thing you need is, I need to create better content. You know that content creation is essential for what you want. And then when it comes to taking action, you now say, let me post once a month. After all, John Obidi is posting once a week or once in 2 weeks. Both of you are not the same. You have to go back to when he started. Oh, this fee doesn't really post that much. Do you know what I was posting before? I'm even still posting as much as possible. Do you know what I was doing before? It was far. There was a period that there was no day that can pass. These days I can miss a day or two. No day can pass without me making a content. Long form. This is I do very short content. I can just put something like growth will cost you, not growing will cost you more, and I'll put a fine picture, and then people just go like, true, yes, deep, this and that. There was a time that I have to think and put out a long form content every day for a period of time. But that was what broke me through. Most of you here know me from Head Start Africa. That was what made you know me. It wasn't a mistake, it was intentional. So some of you, your breakthrough, your better results, your paradox of effort is that your intensity is not yet enough. For the results that you seek, you need to put in more. It's just like you want to cook. I'm very careful with using cooking examples because that's one of the things I'm not good at. But God will help me. So let's say you want to make, what type of soup should I call? Let's say a goosey soup, for example. I heard that's one of the easiest. I hope so. And you want to cook a goosey soup, and then you have all the ingredients. You bring them together. This is why I don't like using cooking example. What are the ingredients now? So you have a goosey has to be one of the ingredients. You have fish and meat. You have water and all those other things that they put together and put in the pot. So you have all of them, right? And you have your pot, extremely nice pot, very nice, non-stick pot. You're ready for cooking. Then you go ahead and look for a very, very nice candle. Just think about it. You look for a nice candle, and then you light the candle and you put the pot on it. You carry the candle and you put that pot on it. You want to cook this food, but you are using a candle light. How much heat can that give you? So you're waiting, and you're like, Esosa's food that is ready. Ugo's food is ready. IT's food is ready. Why is my food not ready? You are using a candle. Your intensity is too small. You can't get the result in time. That is the reason. Intensity is how much. That's the meaning of intensity for those that don't know. Intensity is how much of that action you're taking. So taking action on what you know, the first thing is you have to be intense. You now know what to do, but how much of it are you doing? How aggressive are you? Look at all the people you admire. Look at Jesus that came to be a model for us. After he started his ministry, do you know how aggressive he was at it? You hear things like he woke up early before dawn and went to pray. As soon as he finished praying, he entered into the temple. He did this, flogged people that were doing rubbish in the temple. He went ahead, he healed the sick. It was so, even you will be annoyed that they wanted to kill him so many times. And then he would just escape from among them. He was intense. Look at Paul that wrote a large part of the New Testament. You hear a story of him being in a shipwreck. He finished a shipwreck, snake wanted to bite him, and the next day he's going to preach again. They stoned him, literally stoned him to death. He got up by God's Spirit, and the next thing he's saying is, let us go to the next city. All the faves that you have, the people you quote, you use them to encourage your laziness, but look at their own lives. Look at those you admire. How much work are they doing? How many times do they put things out there? This is the issue with a lot of us. We expect a result without doing the work it takes, the intensity of the work it takes. And I am really hoping that from this session, someone will make that decision and say that I am going to put in the required amount of work. That's the pressure. Add more pressure. Make it intense. Be aggressive about your growth. Don't take it easy. There's something I always say, on this internet, anything you want, you will see. If you want someone to encourage your laziness, you will see someone that will do it. If you want someone to tell you to put more effort, you will see someone. So you hear people that will tell you that you only live once, you can't get out of life alive. All those things that just try to stick to the servant part of you and not the king part of you. And you say, oh, just take life easy, step by step. Are they right? Yes, they are right. But is that what you need at this time? Are you looking at their life? The person that is posting that you should take it easy, that post that you saw was the 7th post that day. It's the 7th time he's posting. He has posted 7. He has tweeted 7 times that day. It's the 7th one that you saw. You now say, this person says I should take life, and you're taking life easy. Someone that is saying you should take life easy has posted 7 times that day. Look at their lives. Intensity is very important. How much of it? How much of it? How much are you doing? How aggressive are you? How aggressive are you? Very important. Very, very important. Even the devil just goes to and fro, looking for someone to devour. Can you imagine? Like every day. Terrible stuff. Now, the next thing on that action, we are far past the time, but that's fine. I just want to make sure that everyone gets. Are you getting value tonight? Have you gotten value so far? right? The next thing on the action is consistency. That's the last point I'll talk about, and then we'll come to an end. There's one more thing I'll talk about towards the end. So, but let me just talk about consistency very quickly. Now, consistency is how long. Intensity is how much. Consistency is how long. How long are you doing? Some of you start and you stop. And see, it is okay to rethink everything you're doing. It's okay to restart. It's okay to want to realign, and that's fine. But when you choose that this is what you want to do it for long enough. You can change the methods, you can change the patterns, you can change from this one to the other, but do it for long enough. There are some results that only come in a period of time. There's a part of the Bible, someone can look for that for me, that says that if the clouds be full of water, it rains. It's normal geography, but it's also in the Bible. Normal geography, rain doesn't fall unless there is good level of condensation of the clouds, right? So if the clouds be full of water, it rains. So for some of you, the reason why your rain have not started falling, and by rain I mean your success, right, or your results, is because you're still gathering the water in the cloud. Someone should please look for that and put it in chat box so I can put it there. There's part of the Bible that says that. You're still trying to put that together, but in the process of time, that consistency would pay off. And consistency is not easy. There's another part of the Bible that says that do not be weary in doing good, for in due time you would reap the results. Someone should look for that one for me. Do not be weary in doing good, for in due time you will reap the results. That means for that thing to be recorded in scriptures, it means that there is a possibility for you to be weary in doing good. It's possible. It is very possible to be weary in doing good. Yeah, Exosa says intensity is how much, constant is how long. That's true. It is very possible to be doing good but yet be weary. So don't think you're alone. People have gotten tired for doing good before. Yeah, thank you, Emmanuel. Emmanuel has put the first one for me. So if the clouds are full of rain, they empty themselves upon the earth. So what happens if they're not full? If they're not full of water, if the water has not gathered enough, what happens? There's no emptying. There's no emptying. So for some of you, consistency is gathering your cloud for long enough so that when it rains, it will rain fully. If the cloud is not full, there's no rain for you. There's another one I mentioned. Do not be weary in doing good, for in due time you will reap the results. Someone should look for that for me. Do not be weary in doing good, for in due time you will reap the results. So there's that possibility that exists that you can get tired. You're not alone. You can be frustrated. You're not alone. Don't be weary. It's easier said than done, but that is the truth. There's no other way of doing it. You can't be tired. There's that possibility of being tired, but you have to be able to look for things that bring you back to that energized moment. One of those things is your why. Why was I doing this in the first place? Do not be weary in doing good. Consistency. Now that you know what is good, don't be weary in doing it. All right. And this brings me to the last point. The last point is just to sum up the two things I've talked about, and that's what is called the compound effects. Everything I've talked about has a compound effect. And probably that's where I'll talk about the abundance principle. That to him that has, more will be given and you have abundance. So if you have, you will have more and you have abundance. One of the ways of having abundance is what? Having. If you want to have abundance, go ahead and have. Yeah. So Ugo has helped with this particular thing. And let us not grow weary while doing good, for in due season we shall reap. If what? If we do not lose heart. So you can be doing good and get weary and lose heart, you will not reap anything. Painful but true. But if you do not lose heart, you will reap in due season. Thank you, Ugo, for putting that out. So I was talking about compound effect. So everything you do compounds with time. Everything compounds with time. So as you do these things, you will find out that the result you're getting will begin to increase drastically. People will see you execute with laser precision. Why? They know you know what you want. So your execution level is different from other people. You know what you want. You know what you need. You know what you're learning. When you're taking a course, you know why you're taking it. You know what you're looking for. So your execution is different. Why? You have gotten to that point where you've positioned your energy for superior results. You're no more dissipating energy left and right. You now know why you're doing what you're doing. You know exactly why you're doing what you're doing. So there's that compound effect that sets into motion that allows you to reap from what you're sowing. Intensity, consistency. Do not be wary in doing good, because there's that compound effect that comes up. So please seek for knowledge. There are some of you that may need to go back and ask people questions, look for mentors, ask people to tell you this is what I have learned about myself, this is what I want to do, but I don't know what I need. Can you tell me some of the things I may need? Some people will tell you some people may not, but seek for knowledge. Buy the truth as much as possible. The first ever murder that happened was Cain and Abel, right? And God told Cain, God asked Cain, someone should put that up for me. God asked that if you had done well, would you not also have been accepted? Someone should look for that verse for me. If you had done well, would you not also have been accepted? Someone should look for that and put it up for me in the chat box. So Cain was rejected, and because he was rejected, he was angry. His sacrifice was rejected, so he was angry. And God said that if you had done well, do you think you wouldn't have been accepted too? So that means there's what is called doing well. There's a doing that is well. If you are not doing well, you will not be accepted. This is not an emotional, it's not by crying or by being emotional. Are you doing well? So there are people that are doing well that have been accepted. There are people that are doing well that have gotten the results. There are people that are doing well that have gotten the things you're looking for. Ask them questions. Humble yourself and seek for knowledge so that your energy can produce superior results. Have you gotten value so far? Have you gotten value so far? All right, so Emmanuel Daniel has gotten this for me. If you do well, will you not be accepted? That was the question. If you do well, will you not be accepted? If you've gotten value so far, please go ahead and take a screenshot of this session right now. It's not easy to show up on Turtleneck every single Thursday by 10 p.m. and go ahead and talk about a lot of things. Go ahead and take a screenshot if you can. If you've gotten value so far, take a screenshot. You can go ahead and tag me on any platform. You can make a post on Facebook and put it on your WhatsApp status. You can go ahead and make a post on Instagram. Let me know what you'll be doing after this session. Let me know what you learned from this session. Invite someone for the next session. If you've gotten value, just go ahead and can you type value in the chat box if you've gotten value so far. Let me go ahead and say hi to some of you. I can see Esosa here. I can see IT. Hello, IT. IT is a good friend of mine. Good to have you here. I can see Ugo. I can see Trade with FE, I think. Did I get that right? I can see who else? Emmanuel Daniel. Oladele Aduroja. Oladele is one of my oldest friends here. I can see a number of people that I know. I can see Joseph Chukubuna. Great to have you here. I can see who else? Yeah, so I can see that a number of you are live. Some of you have said hi in the chat box. Some of you have not, but it's good to have you. If you're watching the replay, also great to have you here. Adefe Emmanuel, I can see that you're somewhere around here. All right, great. So thank you so much for being a part of the session tonight. We went way over time, but I had to make sure I talk about this in detail. But thank you so much for being a part of the session. We'll get to have another session next week, Thursday at 10 p.m. Make sure you invite someone. I'll be talking to first timers next week. So invite someone, and then we'll get to continue from there. Thank you so much and enjoy the rest of your night.